Hello everyone, this is Giuseppe from MakeComputerMusic.com and GIUDA, and today I'm really happy to welcome you to this new video. The goal of this channel is to present beginner and intermediate producers topics that I would have wanted to know when I started making music 4 years ago, more or less. Here on YouTube the information is not missing, but sometimes it can get really overwhelming. That's why I decided to make these videos to bring you step by step to the next level in your production journey. So if you're really serious about your music production career, don't forget to like this video and subscribe the channel to not lose my next upcoming videos. I will go in depth on each topic so that you can understand and use the new techniques right after watching this video. The topic today is syncopation, which is a technique for making your rhythmical elements more interesting and human. And as we will see, this will not be only useful for drums, but for melodies, chords, bass lines, basically for everything. And so now, enough with the intro, and let's jump into the topic and make some music. So let's imagine you are listening to your favorite music on Spotify or in a club, and you notice that the beat seems to be jumping all over the place, and you are wondering, where is the beat? Where is the pulse of this song? Why I'm not able to count the beat? In these cases, chances are really high that you are listening to some syncopation inside the music, and this is mostly done to create more interesting and complex rhythms. This concept might be a bit intimidating, I have to be honest. For me also at the beginning I was kind of understanding it but not really getting it. That's why I also decided for this video to make some research and to give you all the information you need in order to master syncopation. So let's actually define syncopation, and syncopation is a secret portal to the world of intricate, complex rhythms that adds interest to your music. More specific definition, if we want to give it, a deviation from a regular expected rhythmic pattern, often placing stress through accents on weaker beats or omitting stronger beats. But before we jump into some real music, we need to understand, of course, or at least fresh up what a weak and a strong beat is. And for this, of course, I created another amazing slide for you. And as you can see, we are in the piano roll with some drums hits in Ableton Live, and we are to the 4x4 time signature. So this means we have 4 quarter notes every bar. And the normal count that you would do for this kind of signature would be the usual 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So as you can see, we tend to accent beat 1 and beat 3 because normally, as also highlighting in this slide, beat 1 and beat 3. So the odd numbered beats are the strong one. Instead, beat 2 and 4 are the weak one. If we go even more in the beat subdivision and we divide, for example, the first quarter notes into 16 notes, the same would apply, because as you can see in the 16 notes subdivision, also here we have a quarter notes divided into 4 pieces, and again the first would be a strong one, the second a weak one, the third a strong one, and the fourth a weak one. And that's where syncopation comes into place. The next question is actually when to use and why to use syncopation. And the answer to this question is actually, if you have a pattern which is sounding a bit boring or robotic, try to syncopate some of the notes. And we will see this in a practical example in a couple of seconds. And the importance of syncopation is creating unexpected groovy rhythms, which will be unexpected as well for the listeners, and will keep the listeners listen to your track without being annoyed by it. And just as additional information, like rhythmically complex genres such as Latin music, funk and jazz could not exist without the contribution of syncopation. They really make big usage of this technique, which make these genres unique. But let's jump now into Ableton Live and make some music, use some syncopation and make some crazy beats. So we are now into Ableton Live, and as a first promise I would like to tell that you don't have to use syncopation everywhere at the same time, because it can only lead to some confusion. Syncopation is anyway a kind of technique of going against the main pulse of the track, so we have to pay attention. So maybe use it for one or two elements, but then keep the other like straight to the rhythm of the song. And for all the elements that I created, I kind of have a Noraml following the beat pattern, and after it I kind of changed a bit and created a syncopated version. So we will see some drums, general drums, then we will have a specific example for claps. After this we will move to some pads, lead chords style. So first of all I will simply play the low hand, and then I will add some drums on top, the normal one, and uncommenting them, and after this I will play the syncopated ones and explain why they sound a bit different. So now I will add some drums, which will mostly play and accent strong beat. So as you can see, mostly beat 2 and 4 of the quarter subdivision. So this would be the first beat, second beat, third beat and fourth beat. So 1, 2, 3, 4. But as we said before, if we subdivide the first beat, for example, into 16 notes, we would have 4 16 notes, and then the first beat, the second, the third and the fourth, and the first and the third would be the strong one, instead the second and the fourth would be the weak one. This sounds good, but it can lack of some originality. So in the next one that we can check here, what I try to do is to accent some weaker beats, especially using eighth dotted notes, for example the cowbell. First of all, dotted note is the value of the note that you want to put a dot on top plus alphabet. So if we would have like a eighth note, we should add alphabet to it, so a 16 notes, and this would create the length eighth dotted note. And as you can see, for example, for the hi-hat as well, we accent some weaker beats, also for the conga. So this should shift a bit the rhythm and make things hopefully a bit more interesting. Another example can be also taken from one of the most used pattern, especially for clap in melodic house and techno, and this is the clap and the syncopated clap, which plays on a weaker beat, which is the number 4, 16 notes before actually the one that would be used to like close the bar. For example, this would be the classical one, which we found in most of the house tracks nowadays. And as you can see, this is accenting the first 16 notes of the last beat before we restart the loop once more. Instead, in this example, we try to anticipate and put an accent on a weaker beat, which is the beat number 4 of the last 16 notes of the third beat. In this case, this would be the third 16 notes, 2.3 until 2.4, and we place the clap hit on the last 16 note, which in this case is a weak beat, and it will sound like this. So yeah, we have this sense of anticipation. We kind of like get stuck for 1 second because we are not expecting this clap hit, which is actually making things more interesting, and as we said at the beginning, keeps the listener listening to your track. Another interesting example, it's called the even syncopation. It's a specific type of syncopation because there are many different ways to create syncopation, and the even syncopation is nothing else than accent the weak beat instead of the strong one. For this hi-hat pattern, we have here 8 notes, and we accent only the second here. So basically don't accent the ones that we normally would accent counting the beat on 4 to the floor. And for a hi-hat pattern, this is what we would have. Instead, if we do the other way around, so this would be the one when we accent the strong beat. As a last example, I would like to present you some chords that can also be syncopated, just to show that it's not only about drums, but it can be also for melodical and harmonical content. So let's first see some chord eating the strong beats, and this sounds nice, but it can get a bit more of swing and movement going against the main pulse, maybe of the kick. And the normal one would sound like this. And if we take the same pattern, adding only at the end some small notes to make it a bit more tasty. So if we shift the 16 notes by 3 spaces, for example, by 3, so 1, 2, and then we put here the hits, is the same MIDI clip that we had before, then we would have starting to have something more interest, and then we can play from time to time, like move those chords from like a strong to a weak position and check what happens. So yeah, this was basically everything about syncopation. As a general rule of thumb, get the information that I gave to you, but try to experiment, because there are several ways to create syncopation, but most of the time, once at least you got this idea of strong and weak beat, and to shift the accent to the weak beats, or even removing some strong hit beats, my general rule of thumb is to experiment and go with the flow, and at some point you will realize that you can listen and create syncopation without the need to know this is an even syncopation, this is an offbeat syncopation. Experiment, try out, and try to break the normal flow of the rhythm of your songs. And I hope this could help you in understanding more about syncopation and how it can be useful to improve your music. Let me know in the comments below if it was helpful and how you're gonna use this, and if you're gonna use this in your your music. Ask me any questions about this topic or other topics that you would like to hear about or get more information. As always, check my website makecomputermusic.com. There you will find more articles and videos, freebies and reviews about the world of music production. And as usual, I will try to upload a video every Sunday to make you a better, skilled and more motivated producer in order to reach your goals and your definition of success. And of course, in order to support me and the creation of these videos, don't forget to like these videos, leave a comment, let's chat, I love to hear about you. Subscribe the channel if you think this can be useful for you, and again check my website makecomputermusic.com. And until then, I will see you in the next video, and happy producing!